Hello Year 3 and welcome to your maths. We've got some investigations to do today, and before we do that we'll get on with our arithmetic. We've got some missing number multiplications here. So for instance, for bronze, if you've got 5 times something equals 25, and you can change that into jumping in, step counting in 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 to get to 25, and that's 5. Okay, so that's how you can do that. There's one there where you can jump up in 7s, but also have a think about that answer and see if you can work those back, because you should be able to spot some of those now because you've done a lot of these. Okay, so if you can't do that skipped out counting in those higher numbers, have a think about, what does that look like, what could that be in. If you've got a number ending with a 5, it could be in the 5 times table, so have a little think about those. Okay, and I hope that goes well. So we've got some subtraction for silver today. Again, we've got those lovely little sequences going on. Can you predict the next number, which might come in that sequence? We're going to 4-digit numbers here as well, which is quite nice. And then we've got some division facts there using your known multiplication facts. Okay, so use your times tables and your knowledge of place value to be able to understand those. Okay, so pause the video and you can get along with those, and we'll put the answers up in a second. Okay, here they are, and they were the 5 times tables and the 3 times table, and you should perhaps start to look at the answers and spot those sequences there. And again, we've got some nice sequences going on here. We've got the hundreds going up, and the 10s and the 1s going down in 2s, so that's quite a nice little pattern going on. And there's your gold. Okay, so for your starter, and if you are not call challenge today, then you will have this one to do on your sheet. And it says Elliot bought 6 cans of soft drinks for a party, and the capacity of each can is 300 millilitres. So what have you got to do with that? He's got 6 cans of 300 millilitres. So what's your operation that you've got to do? And once you've done that, you can put your millilitres in, and then you can convert it into litres and millilitres. You can change it over into litres and millilitres. And get ready to put your answer up in a second. There's 1800 or 1800 millilitres, because 6 times 3 is 18, and you've got your place value 300, so it makes it 1800. 1 litre and 800 millilitres. You've got to know that fact, haven't you? You've got to remember that fact, 1000 millilitres in a litre. And then this is your cool starter. This says 1 sink holds 2 jugs of water, so 1 equals 2 jugs. What's the capacity of 4 sinks? So each single sink is 2, so you could count up in 2s here and pop your answer in. And you've got 2, 4, 6 and 8 sinks, not 8 sinks, 4 sinks representing 8 jugs. Okay, got that the wrong way around. So let's have a think about this. This is the sort of investigation that we're going to be looking at. It's quite a simple version, this one. And these are buttons on a coat. Okay, my coat has 3 different buttons. Sometimes I do them up starting with the top button. Sometimes I start somewhere else. So again, that's giving you permission to do this starting place somewhere else. Don't always have to do it from the top. So they're sort of setting out the rules here. How many ways can you find to do up my coat? And how will you remember them? So what would you do to be able to solve this and be able to remember how you did it? If you want to have a go at it, that's absolutely fine. We will be checking up on these we're going through this one in a minute. So pause the video and have a little talk aloud, talk with somebody else, and then we'll get ready to pass it over. So let's have a look first at the ways to record our solutions, because that's the best way of being able to remember them. Okay, Mrs. Ludlow has hundreds of notes. The best way of actually remembering how you do it, oopsie, is to write stuff down. Okay, I have post-it notes, I have big things, so even if it's just jottings, use your paper and write down. Okay, so we need to have a look at the solutions, how we're going to get there, but also we're talking about the order that we did those buttons up. So we started from the top button and worked down. Now you could use a code for the order of these, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. You might not need to use a code. So this is way one, and this is the way that the buttons are sequenced. So it's green diamond, purple square and red circle. They would be 1, 2, 3, so just working straight the way down. So that's a really easy one because it's the way that you've got it. So, but what I've done with this, instead of doing a shape and putting the shapes up and down, I've given them a number. So I've said the first one, the top one is first, the next one down is second, and the last one on there, the bottom one, is third. So I've just given them an order of 1, 2 and 3. So for the second one, I can start on the same one, and I will just change the bottom 2 over. So I get 1, 3 and 2. And then here I can't start with the 1 again at the top because there's no other combination that I can do. So I know with the green one at the top, that's all the combinations already. So straight away I can make sure I've done it because there are no other options for me to do. So I know I haven't missed any out. And then this says that the rule in the question said, sometimes I start somewhere else, and this is exactly what this third way is doing. Is starting with the middle button, and that's going to be the first button. So that one gets a 1 against it. The green one at the top gets a second, and then the third, and then the following one will start on the purple one again. Oh, it won't start on the purple one again. It's starting at the bottom on the red one now. Okay. And then it's switching over. I possibly would have done that. You know, there's different ways to do it every single time, isn't there? I might have done that one in the middle and then switched it the other way around and gone like 1, 2 and 3 and swapped it round like that way first. Okay, so that's another way of doing it. And then the last one is 1, 2 and 3. I probably would have done those the other way around actually if I'd have been working properly systematically. Okay. And then the next one is the 3 at the top. Okay. So, actually, thinking about it, it would be starting with the top one. The first one I do is the second colour. That's right, second colour. And then the third, switching those round. And then the third one, the first one I do would be the top. So there's different ways of doing it, but as long as you're consistent, you'll make sure you get the right ones. Could I do top, middle and bottom? Top one first, middle one, and then bottom. I could do it that way round as well, and say I'll go the top, bottom, and middle, and then I'd go middle, top and bottom, and then middle, bottom, and top. So I could use those as a code as well, but actually a number is quicker to write out. The other way that you might have thought of doing it was actually to switch round the shapes. Okay, now it's not easy to do that because you have to keep drawing them out, and it's a bit of a key stage 1 thing to do actually, is to actually start, putting the shapes in and drawing the things for those sequences. But also the buttons don't move round, it's the moves that change. Okay, so try and get that into your head, that if you're moving those physical things and they don't actually move, that's not helping your understanding. So to make it simpler for yourself, use a code for it, so either a number or a letter. It's got to have a meaning though. So there are 6 different ways for doing up the coat. This problem is solved, and we did it by using a systematic approach or a system. We know we have all the ways. Okay. So this is your guided one, and what we're going to do today is you're going to carry on with this guided one, and then you're going to start your big piece of your main investigation. Okay, we've got to have a look at finding the different ways that you can measure out a 1 litre of water using these beakers. So we've got 3 beakers there, 500 millilitres, 250 millilitres and 100 millilitres. And again, we'll have that example up. You've got 500 plus 500. So you can use the same beaker twice in this one. Okay, and because 500 plus 500 is 1,000, which is the same as a litre. So that's what we'd expect you to be able to write that down, rather than using a code for this one. There's not a huge number of them here, so that would be a good way of doing it. The next one would be a 500 plus 2 lots of 250, which would make 1,000. So you're looking at sort of number bonds here. So you're looking at 50, 25 and 25, that would be 100. But also, you know, it's using that place value again. Don't have to add up 250 on your fingers. You use 25 and 25, and your tens. So that would work really well. The next one, we could have 4 lots of 250 millilitres. What other ways could you find? We haven't actually used this 100 millilitre one yet, but there's other combinations in there as well. So keep going with these, and then but before you start doing that, we'll go through the rest of the video, or you can just write those down and you can keep going with them now into your book. Okay, so this one, I've got number 4, 250 ml plus 500 plus 250 millilitres is 1,000, because we haven't done that one already. Look, it's looking fine. We've got 250, but there's no 500 at the beginning here in the middle. So does that work? You have to be really careful, because this one is about the different ways you can do it. Now, this is a different way of setting it out on the page, but it's not a different way of doing it. It matches this first one here, 500 plus 200 plus 200, and sorry, 250, 250. So it has the same numbers in it. It's not a different way. We've just set it out. We've just recorded it differently. So be careful, because that order does not make it, just changing the order does not make it a different way. It's the same way, you've just recorded it differently. So we don't have that one. We scrap those. And then we have to carry on. Okay. So the next one, this is the one that's printed out on your sheet today, and this is your independent work. We've got Elliot has 3 containers here. He uses 1 container at a time, so he's not able to use 1 container twice, and he's taking trips to fill up the tank. How many ways can he fill up the tank? Okay, and he has to make 1 litre. We've got 400, 300 and 200. Okay, so that's your first bit, is part A. So you've got to work out, he has 3 containers, he has to use all the containers, he has to use 1 of the containers at each trip. Okay, and then once you've done that, there's not many of them for that first bit, then you'll do part B. He's got another beaker to use, which is 100 millilitres. So now you're going to have those first 2, plus you've got some extra ways. So I want you now to think of those extra ways of making that, using those 4 trips, exactly the same, but using that 100 millilitre beaker. Okay, and then part C, after a break. So once you've done all those, and there's quite a few more, once you've done all those, part C, Elliot has more energy because he's had a break, and he can now take up to 5 trips, and he still has his 100 millilitre beaker, so he has all of those beakers, and he's going to fill the tank. And there's another lot of ways that he can do that. Okay, so you've got those extra ways. I was going to give you a clue then. I don't know if I should. I'm going to give you a clue, okay, to help you, and I'm going to say that these 2, there are the same amount of extra ways for part B and part C. Okay, so there are the same number of different solutions for the extra ways in part B and the extra ways in part C, just in case. I'm not going to tell you how many there are, okay, and I have had it checked by higher mathematicians than myself. Okay, because there was no solution here for me. I had to do the maths. Okay. So your extra volume challenge, there is a YouTube link to a Water Jug Riddle. It's an American YouTube, but it goes into it really well, and it's a riddle that's been used in a film many years ago, and it's quite a well-known riddle, and it's quite an old maths riddle. It's sort of like a guessing game. But if you pause it at 1 minute 30 seconds and have a go, really gets your brain thinking. But also he solves it after this time. So if you want to stay on for the solution, do that as well, because it's quite interesting to look at. Okay, it's a good one. I was very close to getting it right. I couldn't remember how to do it, and I knew I'd seen it before. Very, very near to it tonight, but I think I was just a bit tired, so just couldn't finish the and actually I did finish it, but I just didn't do it in the same way that he did it. I did it, my way was a little bit longer. Okay, so to get to feel like SpongeBob there, have a little go, and you'll feel that awesome feeling when you get something right, if you can stick with it. Okay, so your steps to success: read those investigations rules. Okay, the investigation has its rules so that you really understand that task. They are two different tasks in the guided one and the second one. Okay, the one that's on your paper. So and the rules are slightly different. So you're going to use your adding and your knowledge of place value and your number bonds to 100 or to 1,000 to help you add up. Record them clearly. Use that system. With that high to low, using the high numbers first, or that position, and so that you get all those options and all those ways. Check you've not included the same way in a different order. When I did it, I had done that, so I had to scrap one. Having your answers in high to low or low to high order can help. I don't work very systematically. Don't do what I do what I say, and count the ways for each part and show those clearly as your answer. And finally, that's the investigation for you, and that's exactly the same as the one on the previous slide, but it's just not moving around, and it's got everything on it for you. Okay, do your best with those today, and that's it from me for now. You take care. Bye now.